everyone, this is Carolyn Toss, the podcast last YouTube channel where I, your host, Carolyn Hines, film critic and journalist, speak to film creators around the world about their work, the industry, and what inspires them. And today I am very happy to be joined by writer and director Panu Aree to talk about his new horror film, The Cursed Land, which is his debut feature film because he's actually a documentarian. And the film is co-written with Kong Rithdee, who is also I guess you could say a usual collaborator with director Aree. So I'm very happy to have him to join us here today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for talking to me.
So The Cursed Land stars Ananda Everingham, who I previously actually just interviewed for his other film, Suppose. And in this one, we went from a romantic film to a horror, and he plays Mit, who is a single father who moves to the southern areas of Thailand because of work, and he moves there with his daughter Maid, played by Jennis Oprasert, and they encounter some strange and dark forces, a phenomenon, because Mit does things he should not do. He arrives and he finds talismans in this new house, and he, in a fit of ire, removes all of it and therefore invites some chaos into his life. And director Panu, before we begin really talking about the film, I want to ask you first, what inspired you to make this film as a feature film? Because you've done documentaries before, and what was it about the particular time that you decided to make this film that you said, you know what, I'm ready to make a feature film. I'm ready to not do a documentary. I'm going to do a feature film, because you've also done short films before.
Okay, so actually Kong and I, we both are Muslim, and we live in Bangkok. And as you know that for Thailand, 90% of the population are Buddhist. So Muslim people are a minority. So I and Kong and I started making the first documentary in 2006, which is 5 years after the 9/11. Because you know that after the 9/11, Muslim people are affected by that incident, because for us, we were labeled as terrorists or something like that. And we just noticed as there are two sounds, or there are two voices which people will hear and listen to. The first voice came from the Western media. Sometimes whenever they report about the terrorism, it would affect people in Thailand, also Muslim people in Thailand. So another voice came from the extremists, like whenever Bin Laden says something, the world will listen to them. So that's why I think that we need to find the voice that which reflect our thought. So that's why we decided to make a documentary which talking about Muslim people in Bangkok, and then we try to find out how they feel about the incident. So the first documentary we made is called In Between, because we told the story about the four moderate Muslim in Bangkok, and we interviewed them the basic question, like how they feel when they were bullied by the Buddhist friend about they could not eat pork or something like that, or a lot of stuff which they feel very bad when being bullied. So and after we finish it, we show it to the public, and we found that we got a very positive response from the non-Muslim friends. Some of my friends asked, they did not know that I felt very bad when they mocked me or something like that. So after that, we made 3 documentaries about the Muslim in Bangkok. So and we found that we found the voice, and a lot of people listen to us. And yeah, after we made a documentary, we found that, you know, and it just started 2 years ago, and I was in film industry as a distributor, because I'm working at the film distribution company. I just realized that, you know, it's time to shift from the documentary to the feature film, because you know, as I am in the film industry, I realized that, you know, genre-based movie is popular. So that's why I think that why don't we make a movie which, you know, still speak the same voice. You know, we can talk about the Muslim or moderate Muslim people in Bangkok, but in a different way. So that's why we decide to make a genre movie. But at first, we don't know what type of movie we should make. And then and you know, as I told you that I have been in the movie business for many years, and I found out that horror film is the best choice, because, you know, the production cost is much cheaper. You don't need A-level actors to be in the film, but you just need to create a good story. Then after that, we try to find out what story is suitable for the horror film. And then we realized that in Thailand, there is an urban legend about, you know, and it's quite popular, because even in the radio show, it's called the Ghost Radio. They invite people who have the you know, supernatural experience to tell the story. And then there is one story which is very famous, but no one pick it up to make a movie. It's about you know, a Buddhist family move into the new house located in the Muslim community, and then at night they experience something very scary, like, you know, they can hear someone murmuring, they can hear someone walking around the house, and then they try to solve the problem by seeking a help from the Buddhist monk. And then when this monk came to the house and tried to solve the problem, they cannot help them, because, you know, because of the different faith. So that's why at the end they had the family have to, you know, hide the Muslim scholar to the house, and then, you know, to suppress the ghost. And at the end, yeah, the problem can be resolved. So that's why we think that we found a story. That's why we decided to you know, to write a story based on this urban legend, but we add something in the film, which is about you know, it's about the history, the history about the Muslim slave from the southernmost of Thailand. They were brought into Bangkok when the capital was just found, and then, you know, that they were forced to build a canal. They were forced to build the city. I think this is the history which, you know, the government tried to hide. They don't want public to know about this history, because, you know, it's quite sensitive. And as you know, that if you watch the news about Thailand, you will find out that there was a political the unrest in the south. It's something like Palestine or something like that. So that's why the Thai government try to hide this history, because, you know, whenever someone talk about it, the problem will take place in the south, something like that. So that's why we try to combine this kind of stuff and make into the movie.
Yeah. And the thing is I find horror films in particular are very effective methods of using genre elements to tell a political story. Like some of my favorite, like one of my all-time favorite horror films is The Wailing, which is a South Korean film, and it's people on the surface is like just a ghost story, but it's more than that. It's a story about the ramifications of the Japanese occupation of Korea on women and their culture. You know, it really talks about how that changed the culture of Korea, how it changed the people, you know, the trauma like became a part of them, especially for women and those who were and the young girls who were made into comfort women for the Japanese soldiers, you know, they were taken. And like and there's a Thai horror film also co-written and directed by the director of The Wailing called The Medium. And that
Yeah.
film talks also about the occupation in Thailand, you know, and like these films are very effective methods of talking about politics because it's about showing the horror
Yeah.
that the people suffered. And the filmmakers is talking about the horror that Muslim people suffered in Thailand. And you know, they're still in a sense othered in Thai culture, you know, like in when people talk about Thailand, they talk about the food, the beaches, you know, the temples and Buddhism, but they don't really talk about the Muslim culture in Thailand, you know, like they're not really given an identity, you know. And so I think a film like this and using a horror film is very effective because people love horror for one, but
Yes.
it gets them thinking about the themes and the story, you know. It really gets them thinking about, oh wait, not only are there Muslim people in Thailand, but there's Muslim communities that suffer trauma, and that trauma is still present in their communities. Like the province you mentioned, I was doing a bit of research called Narathiwat province. That's the southernmost province in Thailand, and that's where the largest Muslim community is centered. And like so much of that is still kind of hidden, you know, because from what I was reading on a travel blog, like they're saying there's some parts that people can't enter because like it's considered to be still politically not safe to go into because it's right on the edge of Malaysia. So I want you to talk about filming in a place like that because you had certain restrictions that you had to abide by, but you still wanted to make sure that you highlighted that province in the film and that you show like what living there is really like for Muslim people in that community.
Yeah, that's right. And back to what you said about making horror film uh, with adding some political elements in the film. I think this is our purpose because you know, our intention is and as we know that we cannot tell the story about the Muslim slave, a Malay slave directly. So that's why when Kong and I decided to make this movie, we want it to be a commercial film, but what we expect from the audience is that after they watch the film, they might have some questions
Yeah.
about you know the background of the story, and after that they will you know start doing some research by themselves because you know that they cannot learn this history in the textbook. So that's why that the film would encourage them to do something. And what is interesting is that the film was just released last Thursday, and during the promotion, we try not. I mean that the marketing team try not to reveal too much about the history part in the film. So that's why when the film was open, I checked the internet. A lot of people were very surprised because you know they did not know that you know the movie deal with this hidden history, and a lot of people you know post something very interesting because some of them after they watch the film they try to search what happened 200 years ago
Mm-hmm.
most of Thailand, and then they post this information in the internet. So a lot of people, especially the young audience, you know, they 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 watched the film and they did not understand the background of the story. When they read this information, they understand more. And this is what I intend to do in before making this movie. And in my opinion, I was very happy because at the end, people they did not just watch the film and enjoy it, but they try to seek for more information about the movie, about the history in the movie.
Yeah, and I think that's important because like film, because a lot of people when they watch specific films like genre films, and especially people I would say within North America in particularly, when they look at films from like Southeast Asian and South Asian cultures and even like African cultures, like ethnic cultures, they watch them because they're like, ooh, spiritualism is gonna be creepy, like those films are known for being creepy because they add the spiritual element. But they also miss the political context in a lot of them. And even like the action films, like I just have to look at it because I wanted to remember. Like Ong Bak is a Thai film. And that film was super popular in the 2000s in the Caribbean. I'm from Barbados, so like that film when Ong Bak 1 and 2 came out, like that was the event to go watch. But that film also talks a lot about capitalism, and it also talked a lot about how Thai culture was being exploited. But people were like, oh, just punches and kicks and Muay Thai. I'm like, but there's a whole element in this whole story about capitalism, about how commercialism was ruining Thai culture and people were stealing artifacts for wealth, and like stealing it. So these kind of films are like have like a purpose. And for a film like this, in talking about Muslim culture, I think it's very important because again, as I mentioned, like a lot of people outside of like Thailand and sort of outside of Southeast Asia don't even necessarily associate Thailand with Muslim culture, and even in talking about the connection with Malaysia, like Malaysia itself is still now finding its footing in particular genres. Like I've interviewed a director, Ariel Abu Bakar, about his film Silat Warriors and Walid, and is talking about how he uses Muslim actors and also uses Muslim, like Silat is a Muslim form of martial arts, and he uses the films to show people that Muslims aren't the stereotype that we see in Western films. They're not terrorists. They're not out here like seeking to destroy the world. Like they have their normalized and they have their own stripes within their communities, and they're facing the same prejudices. And your film is like that. Like your film is about a father and a daughter who are facing like internal struggles, and they're dealing with the trauma of losing a wife and a mother, and these are the stories that we see in Western films that people get praised for. And I'm like, your film is like that, but you're also making sure to add a political context and I love the fact that you use like Muslim spirituality, because that is another thing where people don't understand that Islam has its own spiritual elements in it, like the Djinn. Like people don't really understand what jinns are. Like that is something again that has been appropriated by Western filmmakers and Western culture without really giving a background into how important the Djinn is into Muslim culture. And like black I think it's called like Islam black magic, and and that exists, and so when you talk about just like using religion itself as a horror element, because we're very familiar with like Christianity and Catholicism, and even some elements of Buddhism in like other Thai horrors being prevalent in horror films. Like I saw in an interview you did, like one of your favorite films is The Conjuring, and I watched that for the very first time a couple of weeks ago, because I don't do well with with religion in horror films. Like I've never seen oh my gosh, which is the one where the girl, her head turns around? It's a very famous one from the 70s. Exorcism. I've never seen any of those films because I'm like, we don't play with that. But films like yours kind of make it more not palatable, but easier for me to watch because it's not a religion that I'm familiar with, because I grew up Christian, right? So it's easy for me to watch like religious films, I think, for Southeast Asia, because I'm like, I don't have a personal connection, but I can still relate to religion itself being horrific in some aspects.
Yeah. I think that is what we expect for our audience, because that I think that it's as you know that the first layer of the film is of horror. That as a filmmaker, I want people to enjoy it, but as I do that, but I expect them to think more and yeah, but it depends on the audience because some of them might want to enjoy the film and they don't want to think too much. That's fine, and I think that if they enjoy the film, I'm happy because I think that at the end I reached the goal that I want the movie to be. But yeah, if they just they don't just enjoy it, but they just want to find or to seek more information about the side story, I will be happier because at the end the film encouraged them to learn more, and I think that nowadays uh, you know uh, nothing is important than knowledge. I mean, if you seek more knowledge, so it will help you a lot in real life.
Yeah, and I always see the like films can be a learning experience. Like when I watch films, I go and do research, as I mentioned. Like I started to do research on yours, and there was another like yours. Like I found out that yours is the second Thai Muslim film period, and
Yeah.
like and it's also it's on both films is horror. Like the one that came before yours is I think it's called The Curse of the Djinn or The Djinn's Curse. And
Again,
that one was also having the Muslim elements. And I thought it was interesting that these films, like they're both about Muslim culture and how like that the spiritual elements come in, but they're from two very different perspectives. Yours deals with the history of Muslims being enslaved and subjugated and othered in Thai society, whereas that one deals more with I think to me I read it as women, how women are treated in Thai culture, and like it uses the Muslim element for that. But I thought it was really interesting how you are able to show both the what we would call the light and the dark sides of the religion, and that is present in everywhere, right? Like I think for every good horror film, you need to balance the light with the dark, and you need to be, if you're showing, especially if you're dealing with a religion, and you have to make sure that you show like there's positive aspects of the religion, but there are people who misuse it and misrepresent it, and that's where the dark side comes in. So for you, when you were writing with Kong, when you were writing the script, how did you balance those aspects? Because you wanted to make sure that the film is ultimately a positive representation of Islam and Muslim people and Muslim people in Thailand. So how did you balance both the light and the dark?
because what we do is I have to admit that both Gong and me, we are not that religious. Sometimes question about the religion also, but of course we are born as a Muslim. We have to uh, uh, I don't want to say that we have to be religious, but we try to be a good Muslim as much as we can. So when we write the story, we try not to make our movie, a preaching film. We don't want to say that no Muslim is right, because if you watch the film, you will find that one of the character, him, you cannot judge him a bad Muslim just because he married to the Thai Buddhist, or he drink liquor, but because at the end is him who can suppress the Jinn, right? So that's why we want this movie to be uh, yeah, to be moderate as much as we can, and one of our and the main theme of this movie is coexistence. We don't want to to because the problem in Thailand is that we might think that our religion is better than others, so we don't want to say that, because we think that at the end we have to live together no matter who you are. So that's why this is how we try to balance, and we try to that's why our main character is Buddhist, because they are outsider. And at the end, even though the Jinn is suppressed, but we don't force our character to change or to they can be what they are, but at the end they understand that they have to live together. So this is how we try to balance the the story. And for the black magic, as you can see, I think you watch the Djinn curse, right? I think is totally different because I think for them they try to focus on the black magic, and as you said, and which is a strong point of the film is how women are treated in Thai society. But for us, we think that black magic is it represents how we can live or in a coexistent way, because that in according to Muslim, black magic is considered a sin. But in Thailand, we have to admit that Islam came after the Buddhism, because that before Islam occupy the southern state of Thailand, most of people in that area, they are Buddhists. They worship ghosts, something like that. So that's why you cannot deny that the black magic is part of their life, even though they convert into Muslim. So that's why we in this in our movie we try to educate. And I don't want to say educate, but we try to tell indirectly that this is how we try to balance. We try to tell the story realistically, and we don't want it to be too religious. So
yeah, no, I get it, because it's because you're showing that like they can coexist, like people of the different religions and different beliefs and from different parts of the country can coexist, because like Mint and his daughter, they moved from the north to the south, and like that includes a transition and a sense, and you have to still integrate into the society, even within your own homeland. When you move from one part to the next, you still have to learn how to coexist in this new environment, this new community. It's new people, dialects are different. You might be speaking the same language, but your dialect and your accent is completely different. So you have to learn how to like work around that. And we have time for one last question. So my last question is, speaking about coexistence, the film is, yes, it like Islam and Muslim culture and the history of Thailand, all of that is a big part of the film, but so is the strife between the father and the daughter, because like in like how they have to learn to coexist with the community, they have to learn to coexist with each other, because they're at two different places emotionally and mentally in their lives. So if we're just ending off, talk a bit about their relationship and like developing their characters and how their relationship with as they learn to progress and grow and learn to live in this new community, they have to learn to live within this new house together. And so talk about their relationship and working with Ananda and Jennis for the film.
As you know that I think this you watch the film, you will realize that they are not biological father and daughter, and so that's why of course without the mother, who is the bridge between both of them, after she passed away, it means that they have to live, you have to coexist. They have to coexist. So that's why at first the daughter might feel that okay, she's worried about her father, but at the same time she is angry her father because I think she believed that, because of his drinking behavior that caused the death of her mother. So that's why, but at the same time, the daughter doesn't want to lose any beloved one anymore. So that's why she has to try to coexist with her father, same as the father also, because he has no one in his life.
Yeah.
May is the only important person in his life. So that's why they have to to compromise and then try to live together without the mother. And yeah, Ananda and Jennis, they have the chemistry, because that when I cast both of them, a lot of people thought that they are very miscast, because Ananda is not too old enough and Jenny is not too young. But when they start working together, that I don't know how they, because Ananda and Jenny, they told me that they need 2 hours to talk to each other, and after they talk to each other, they can make me believe that they are the real father and daughter.
Yeah, and I think that's great because I think that's the beauty of film. Like, the story is about coexistence, but I think to make a really impactful and a really effective film, like the cast and the crew and everyone has to coexist and work. So I think like the film is ultimately about, like, as they say, why can't we all just get along? And so hopefully we get to that place one day. I know you have to go, but thank you so much for speaking to me, director. I really appreciate it. So everyone, that was another episode of Carolyn Talks, and this was actually my second interview today, because today I also did my interview with the two lead performers of Suppose, another Thai film, and this one was with director Panu Aree for his film The Cursed Land, which was co-written by Kong Rithdee, and I think we had a really good discussion. And the film also has made me really curious to research more into the history of Muslim communities in Thailand. Like, I knew a bit about it before, but I really want to do some more in-depth research, and I think that's the beauty of films like this, whether it's especially particularly horror films. I love horror films with these kind of like themes about culture and politics and religion and community and just like finding your place in wherever you are. And this film is really effective like that. And so if you can, please go out and watch it. And I would also suggest watching The Djinn's Curse, because as I mentioned, like that one kind of deals with what Muslim women are viewed and treated by men in like Thai society. But I think it's relatable to all women from everywhere. And so like that's so you can look for that, but also, as I said, look for the Cursed Land. New York Asian Film Festival is international and a North American premiere. So if I can, when I get information, I'll include the links for where you can screen it in the description box below. And of course, you can watch the video version of this on the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@Carolyn_Hines. Go to my R3 page for more interviews. KCrushAmericanMagazine.com, Joy Crush, the University Reviews, the African American Film Critics Association that I do as well. Those video versions are on my YouTube channel as well in the playlist. I have the separate playlist, so you can check there. And so my digital portfolio is r3.com, AUTHORY.com/Carolyn Hines. That's HINDS. Find me on social media, Twitter and Instagram @Carrie, CNH12, CRRIECNH12. And I think that's it. I'm going to wrap up here. So until my next episode of Carolyn Talks, everyone stay safe. Bye.